SPIC, which is reported as a state-owned company by China. Are you familiar with that also? Can we go to the next slide?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I just lend some, I can give the copy.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, may we recognize attorney? I'm sorry, medyo
Alabanza.
ano po yung name, ayan,
Alabanza.
Alabanza.
Yes,
Just
sir.
to give justice po sa pangalan niyo, attorney.
Actually, that kind of transaction is allowed under a concession agreement, specifically as long as the transaction is held at arm's length. So since we go through a competitive selection process, it's considered arm's length even though the supplier will be related to any of our stockholders. So it's specifically provided in our concession agreement under Article 8.07.
Yeah, thank you for pointing out that. Now, let me go back to my previous manifestation before I ask the questions. The Bids and Awards Committee, I don't know how you adopt a stringent measures in order to protect, because the Bids and Awards and Procurement Awards Committee, as I understand it as a layman, does not only concerns itself with measuring the capacity, the assets, and the potential of these companies to deliver services according to the contract, but you also need to review and vet and assess the backgrounds of these companies. The reason why I'm pointing this out is there seems to be companies na medyo blacklisted sa international. So I guess the point that I'm trying to drive at is, yes, they're capable, they have all the assets, they can deliver the goods, they can deliver the projects, but if the reputation is off question, I believe we're talking here of international companies. I think the NGCP has to do more to check on the backgrounds of these companies, because that gives us, it reinforces our apprehension that maybe may na-overlook. No? Kasi we're talking of opening up our space for these companies, our domestic space, our national assets, our national resources to do business with these companies. Now, if these companies are blacklisted internationally or have bad records, I think there's some major consideration for NGCP to look into, especially if the company that has been awarded with huge amount of money is connected with the one that sits in the board. Tama po ba yung assessment ko?
Mr. Chair, your observations are well taken. We do have a vetting process. I'm just going to confirm to what extent these are
I will not agree on that, Mr. Attorney. May we ask the former president of Transco, what's your assessment on this? Tama po ba yung aking assessment?
Thank you.
Kasi pinag-uusapan po natin dito, hindi lang negosyo, national security din po.
Absolutely correct po. Napakaganda po na observation nyo. And also to mention, wala naman po yung sinasabi po ni Atty. Alabanza, with all due respect, there's no provision in the concession agreement allowing those things to happen. And in fact, maybe we can ask the ERC because they put up a guidelines when there is a bidding proceedings. Kasi malinaw po yan eh. What is good for the gander is good also for dogs. Ganun lang yan. Pero para tayo naglolokohan dito pag sinabi natin pinayagan yan. Maybe, Mr. Chair, you can ask the...
Mr. Chair, I think also I agree. Let me remind everyone, I personally will not finding faults in everyone. Gusto ko lang po malinis yung records at true tayo dun sa gusto natin protektahan, which is our national sovereignty. Now that's why the reason why I'm asking this, because it might open up the portal. We're trying to close the gap, no? ARC,
Mr.
do you
Chair.
have? Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
if I may. Mr. Chair, if I may, okay naman kay Kong Zia.
Yeah, please, but I hope it will not be deducted from my time.
1 minute lang.
It is.
Yeah,
See.
okay lang.
Yes, Attorney. Yes,
Kasi
Kong.
for the last 3 or 4 hours, I've been listening to that guy, Attorney Matibag. Parang ano ang angas mo. Parang ang angas mo. You try to tone down your to avoid yung mga salita na parang offensive, di ba?
Yeah, Mr.
Hindi
Chair.
tayo naglulukohan dito. So you try to avoid using those words.
Mr. Chair,
Okay?
I apologize for that. But I'm
No.
sorry if I'm passionate
Don't like
about
that
what
attitude.
I'm saying.
No.
May,
Try to avoid that. Yung tono mo, wag ganyan. Parang adversarial eh. Hindi maganda pa pakinggan. Kanina pa yan. Kanina ka pa.
okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, I
Attorney
apologize.
Matibag.
I apologize for that.
Okay,
Maybe
so please.
I'm just so passionate when it comes to national security. And siguro, kanya-kanya lang siguro tayong positioning on that matter. Maybe ganun siguro yung pananaw sa akin ng of the honorable member. But ang sa akin lang dito, kaya ako sinasabi yun, I've been hearing this for 5 years. That's why I'm saying, when it comes to that, tingnan natin yung guidelines ng ERC when it comes to the bidding.
Yeah, so
Sorry
just
to hear that, pero that
just
doesn't
be,
give you the authority to
yeah, wait,
write
let's just be cautious sa ating pananalita, no? Dahil it can offend our members and other resource persons. So let's drive home the point para klaro, no? In a very nice and respectful manner. So please, Attorney, Congressman
Mr. Chair,
Zia, you still have the floor. Just you have 2 more minutes.
Mr. Chair, can I just add?
Yes.
Yung arm's length na yun, there's a continuation of that section. It's limited under $1 million.
Sorry, what was that?
Di ba, pwede silang mag-arm's length na with affiliated or, pero kailangan under 1 million, under the concession.
Under $1 million, we're talking of dollars or...
Dollars, sir.
Which legal tender are we talking here? Dollars or peso?
Dollars po, sir.
Dollars, okay. Mr. Chair, kanina po, I asked the utility to bring down the temperature in the room. Medyo umiinit na, so may I ask the utility to bring it up?
Okay. So,
Medyo umiinit na.
okay. So, medyo
Umiinit na, Mr.
umiinit
Chair.
na naman.
Umiinit na.
Umiinit na
Medyo
mga
mainit
ano
dito
na,
sa-
umiinit din.
dito, medyo
Sa kaliwa.
umiinit.
Okay.
Kaliwa ko.
Sa kanan ko. Okay. Go ahead. Kong Sia, 2 more minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, again, I'd like to ask ERC, how do you regulate this? Because you've been given that power to regulate, to make sure that precisely, I agree with Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, precisely why you're there, is in order also to regulate, some companies were doing business here in the country, especially if it concerns about our national assets, which is still maintained, owned by the by the state, to make sure that any business dealings with any of these foreign companies would be regulated. They will be regulated. It will be checked. So in terms of all this, the companies that I have brought up, how do you have the power to even go deeper into the bids and process? Because this is in aid of legislation, Mr. Chair, and we also want to find out maybe may gaps in the law. So maybe you can also be guided. ERC?
Mr. Chair, in May 2023 po, we issued what we call the procurement guidelines for regulated entities. So it governs the manner by which, as you had described earlier, regulated entities will procure supplies and services, goods, supplies, and services. So meron pong provision doon for conflict of interest and related party transactions or procurement from related group. So hindi pa po namin na-review yung compliance po ni NGCP doon. Pero nakikinig nga din po ako kanina na isasama na po namin ito doon sa review. Nag-file naman po sila ng kanilang annual procurement plan, but I don't think it went to the level of detail na sinubmit po nila dito sa Kongreso.
Okay. Would you confirm, Attorney, ma'am, the one wearing a purple... Ma'am, sorry po. Sorry po. Pasensya na po, Ma'am, would you confirm that according to ERC, there's in the bids processes and guidelines, there's also that... Can you, Mr. Chair, can I ask ERC again to please specify? And kanina po may sinabi po si Yusek Garin, the better Garin, about a certain they can actually engage, but a certain limitation, only $1 million. Can you go back again to what, ano po yung sinabi nyo? There's a provision?
Meron po kaming procurement guidelines. It applies not just to NGCP but to distribution utilities as well.
Okay. Attorney, there's procurement guidelines that the ARC has adopted. How can this particular case that I've pointed out to you, the NARI, which is closely or directly affiliated with SGCC, those whose seats in the board